Welcome to Sidetrack, your sci-fi TV and movie channel. So I've just gone to see Shang-li, another great Marvel movie where, let's be honest, Marvel knocking out the park again. This is going to be another Marvel classic, basically because it follows the Marvel formula. The simple 3 acts, the sort of build-up, the reveal, the threat, the defeat and the rebirth. Classic Marvel signature is all over this movie and I absolutely adored it. So let's break it down, and just a warning, there will be some spoilers. Okay, so first of all, Marvel really think ahead. We already know this, but actually the Easter eggs for this movie go back all the way back to Iron Man. We see this Army of the Ten Rings flag and logo in Iron Man 2, quite a lot. We even see agents of the army. Obviously in Iron Man 3 with the Mandarin and the fake Mandarin. Again, Trevor appears in this movie. Trevor Slattery. Ben Kingsley is phenomenally good, as always. Mind-numbingly stupid, but on a level that even Homer Simpson would consider a bit thick. But just beautifully acted, because, let's be honest, if Ben Kingsley can do anything, it's perform. All the way through as well, the film has a distinct feel. The martial arts is obviously of an epic standard. We see the first really powerful fight scene on the bus in the beginning of the movie, the big reveal that Shang-li is actually not Sean, but a martial arts master. The fight builds slowly. There's 1 enemy, then 2, then 3, then 4, then a dude with a machete for an arm. It's really reminiscent for me of the Netflix Daredevil series. In the first season, they have a battle in a corridor. Daredevil is still not in the full get-up. He's still wearing the mask and all that gear. But he's trying to rescue a young child from the Kingpin. He walks slowly up the corridor. Enemies come from left and right. It's one long shot. It's a beautifully choreographed fight scene that really we weren't used to seeing, particularly at that time, at like TV standard. This was movie standard choreography on the small screen. Obviously those lines between movie and TV have become a lot more blurred in recent years through streaming services. But at the time, it was powerfully brilliant. And the fight scene on the bus really reminds me of that. But it also reminds me of the great Golden Harvest movies and the Hong Kong martial arts movies, Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan. One of the scenes in particular that really reminded me of those classic martial arts movies is they're battling on the outside of a skyscraper and they're on the bamboo scaffolding. At one point, one starts to break and Shang-Li's best friend Katie is hanging off the end and Shang-Li needs to save her. This is a tool and a scene sort of, but it has been done before in martial arts movies. Jackie Chan has done this more than once in his movies. It's done because it works and it is beautifully filmed, beautifully put together, and I've, to be honest, taken to another level. But like I said, this film uses the Marvel formula. And it's not just that classic formula of the 3 acts. It goes a bit more than that. Marvel movies always keep their characters grounded. They're generally not overpowered. Captain Marvel to one side. They're generally flawed in some way, and Shang-Li is no exception. He is just a human being, but with this 10 rings of power. So again, elevated to that superhero status. They do that through the details. Things like when Shang-Li uses the rings to, he doesn't really fly, but jump very far. He shoots them down, they propel him up, and then he shoots them at the ground to slow himself down before he lands. Just details like that. He doesn't just do the superhero landing. He actually, there's actually thought and detail put into it that they realise he would need to slow down. He's just a human being. It would break his legs if they didn't. There's a scene where he is in the lake about to meet the Guardian, the dragon. And they remember that he needs to breathe, so you can see air bubbles forming and then him absorbing them, sort of thing. It's details like this that allow the character just to stay with 2 feet on the ground and let the audience stay with him. That it's based in some sort of reality. Now, DC is not very good at this skill. But Marvel is excellent at it, of taking us right up to the edge of extraordinary, but never stepping over it into the silly. And again, they do this with this movie, and it shows that really is an art and how skillful they are at it, that at one point, our hero, Shang-li, is riding a freaking dragon. And at no point do you stop and go, well, that's just stupid. You are completely with it. It is done so well and so carefully that at no point do you question him battling some evil entity, soul-sucking entity, on the back of a dragon. Another thing they do a lot though is they use the dialogue. They use the dialogue in very clever ways. One of the ways they do it is they never go too far with the dialogue. They never use a cheesy little one-liner where a glance will do. A glance that, done in the right setting, in the right context, says 1,000 words. They do this several times in the movie. Something like the father, the main protagonist of the movie, dies, gives his life to protect his son. I'll come back to that in a second. The two children look back. There's nothing to say at that point, nothing to say that will make sense or not be cheesy, so they don't say anything. They just look at each other and give each other a look that tells us everything. Going back to the protagonist, one of the things Marvel does, and they do it again and again and again, is they make a bad guy that isn't really a bad guy, that we as an audience can kind of relate to. They did it in the Daredevil series, the Kingpin character. He actually is trying to do something good for the community, his community. He does it in a bad way, but he's trying to do something good in his eyes. Obviously, we have Thanos, who in his mind is trying to save the half that's left, rather than worrying about the half he's killing. The bad guy in Shang-li, Shang-li's father, is very similar. He is the real Mandarin. He is the warrior of 1,000 names that's lived for over 10 centuries, and he's been fighting wars in the shadows for all those years. He falls in love with this warrior princess from the ancient mystical village. They have this fight that's a dance of seduction. They fall in love. He decides to put his evil past behind him. He then becomes that family man. His wife is taken away when his history catches up with him, and then he basically commits himself back into his darker ways. He is then tricked by an evil entity to come to this village to release the soul-sucking monster into our reality. But he's not doing that because he's evil. He's doing that because he's desperate to get his wife back. Now Shang-li can see that he's being tricked and is desperately trying to stop him. They have a battle where the rings are purple on his dad, symbolising that mystical dark energy, and then they become golden coloured when they're on Shang-li, when Shang-li takes them, when he earns them through battle. They become a golden colour because in Chinese mythology particularly, that represents light and heat and good energy. The father then does obviously what he has to do, and he gives his life to protect his son. Again, this is something we see in Marvel over and over again. The final thing Marvel always does, and they do it again in this movie, is they have the comedy moments to break the tension. This is another mechanism to keep it grounded and keep it realistic. The end of the Avengers movie, height of tension, height of drama. We think Iron Man's dead. Hulk screams at him. He wakes up and he goes, oh, anybody heard of shawarma? Let's go eat shawarma. I think there's a place around the corner. In the final credit scene, we don't know what these rings are. Captain Marvel has just said she's never seen technology like this. Intelligent Hulk with his still in his arm in a cast, and he looks really aged as well at this point. He's really grey hair and stuff. They're saying they're looking at the rings. Wang has them in the mystical arts, using the mystical arts to like sort of scan them and stuff, and they're saying we don't know what this is, they're ancient and we don't know what they are. And Wang is telling him, you've got a path now. Not just him actually, but his friend Katie as well. You're going on a path now, on a journey, and you better get ready for it. And then, oh, we better go rest then. And then they flash to them singing karaoke, which is just beautifully done. It breaks the tension, it grounds the characters back in reality. And let's be honest, we see Wong singing, and that can never be bad. So, If you're umming and ahhing about whether to go and see Shang-li, go. It is a classic Marvel movie. It is brilliant, and we're going to be seeing this character in lots of different ways in the coming years. I would actually love to see him on a Disney Plus series of his own. I think it would work really, really well. And if you are new to the channel, please like and subscribe, hit that bell notification. If you would like to wear this wonderful t-shirt that I'm wearing today, you can go to the link in the description and you can purchase one of your very own. So thanks very much, guys, and I'll see you next time.